Well, let's discuss this a little bit further. I'm joined now from our central London studio by branding expert Simon Bailey from the Caffeine partnership. A very good evening to you, Simon Bailey. Thanks so much for talking to us. So David Beckham, he's wanted to do it for many years. He's finally launching this Major League Soccer team in Miami. What will this do to brand Beckham?
Well, first of all, let's just look at it commercially. I think it's a very interesting deal. In 2016, Forbes magazine valued the average club in the MLS league at about $185 million. That's a big number, but it's pretty significant when you think that back in 2008, it was worth considerably less. In fact, it's estimated that the value increase in those clubs alone has been 400%. So it's a great deal for Beckham, who's bought in at $25 million.
Well, yes, and on that subject, it just shows you what a star he is, to go from being a very good football player, but to now to be in a position to do a deal like this.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at brand Beckham, and of course it's a joint brand between both Victoria and David, what they've achieved together is incredible. In fact, my colleague has written a book called Brand It Like Beckham. What's interesting about David Beckham, though, is that very early on in his career, he spotted the opportunity to build a global brand and went about it very, very purposefully, using a lot of the tools and techniques that you might expect from a global corporation. In fact, when Adidas were looking at Beckham, it's quite interesting because I think Beckham was starting to look at Adidas and how it built its brand. He utilised some really interesting things in order to do that. He benefited from hard work. He benefited from timing. Just as football was becoming the preeminent global property, Beckham was getting amazing coverage. He's always known, I think, intuitively that his brand was about football, about fashion and about feeling, that notion that he had a capacity for empathy too, and they should be involved with charitable undertakings. And then he stayed relevant, like a great musician. He's managed to move with the times, and he's gone from skinhead through to the Miami Vice look, and he's built a global franchise. He's an inclusive brand. He's a guy that lots and lots of different people like, from a huge broad base of supporters. And if you look at this deal, it shows how far-sighted he's been, and it also shows how intuitively he understands that process of brand building, because Miami's a glamorous city.
Yes, and how important is it that he's brought things back to football again? Because obviously that's what he's most known for and originally known for, and then he went on to expand with his wife, as you say, and his family into those other areas of fashion and grooming and all the rest of it. Is it quite important for brand Beckham to still be true to his roots, if you like?
Undoubtedly, and I think what you're seeing is Beckham go back to that, to start where his career began and to continue to build that association. But actually, I think Beckham's skill has been to know to use football as his foundation stone, but then to expand into these other areas too, and he's done that incredibly successfully.
Well, yes, and it's interesting you talked a little bit about how the part that his character has played as well, and he's talked about this idea of owning an MLS team being a dream come true. And to what extent do you think that people need to believe that you're passionate in something for it to be successful, rather than a kind of cynical financial move, perhaps?
Yeah, I think all great brand and all great brand owners are driven by something more than just profit. So when Beckham talks about this being a connection with his passion and with the thing that drove him, and he's been known for that relentless drive both on and off the pitch, then I think there is an authenticity to that, and I think that's definitely what he's using here. His passion and interest in football, I think, goes without saying, and I think that's why it will ultimately be successful, because as much as it's benefiting him commercially, it's connecting him back to what he's known for, back to what he enjoys, and as a consequence, I suspect it'll go on to be incredibly successful. I mean, soccer in the US has only really just started. It's a great brand move, and it's a great business move too.
And he's been congratulated, hasn't he, in a video by his wife, Victoria, and his children, but also by a string of famous people, from Serena Williams, Usain Bolt, the New England's Patriot quarterback, obviously not so well known here, but very famous in America, Tom Brady, Will Smith, Jay-Z, Jennifer Lopez. I mean, he's very good at attracting other big names, isn't he? I mean, to what extent does that rub off on him as well?
Yeah, I mean, brands to some extent are defined by the company that they keep, and many of these global celebrities are very conscious that they're also they're global brands in their own right. But I think Beckham deserves great credit. Back in 2008, when he went to LA Galaxy, he must have seen this opportunity in the future. He's worked on that relentlessly. Back in 2014, he announced his intention to do this, I think, by 2020. And it looks like he's managed to achieve that, and he will be a team owner. And it'll be interesting to see what the team is called eventually as well, because we know at the moment that they're using a working title for the company of Miami Beckham United. And it will be interesting to see, you know, to what extent the Beckham name is retained in the team name. And no doubt we'll hear a bit more about that over the coming weeks and months.
Sure, we'll hear plenty about it. Simon Bailey, very interesting to get your take on things. Thanks so much for talking to us tonight.
Thanks.